sleeping stories.
Imagine waking up in a cold, sterile room with no memory of your childhood. No mother, no father, no name, just a number tattooed on the back of your head. 47. You were not born. You were created. Designed in a laboratory by a mad scientist who wanted to build the perfect weapon. Your DNA stolen from 5 of the most dangerous criminals the world has ever known. A Chinese crime lord, a Colombian drug cartel leader, a Russian arms dealer, an Austrian terrorist, and the scientist himself. Every drop of blood in your veins carries the legacy of monsters. You were trained to kill before you could even understand what death meant. Your first memory is not of love or warmth. It is of cold metal, of gunfire, of targets falling. But here is what they did not expect. You became more than they ever imagined. Smarter, faster, deadlier. You were supposed to be their perfect soldier. Instead, you became the world's greatest assassin. Welcome to Loreforge, the channel where we unlock the deepest secrets and most incredible stories hidden inside your favorite games. I am your host, and today we are diving into one of gaming's most legendary tales, the complete story of Agent 47. From his dark creation to his rise as the most feared name in the world of assassination. If you love deep lore breakdowns and untold gaming stories, you are in the right place. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications, because trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming next. Over the next 2 hours, we are going to uncover every secret, every betrayal, every kill, and every choice that shaped the man behind the barcode. But before 47 became a legend feared by criminals and governments alike, before he had a name or a purpose, he was just another experiment, trapped in a nightmare created by a man with a god complex. And what happened in that facility, what they did to create him, that is where our story truly begins. So grab your fiber wire, put on your signature suit, and let us enter the world of Hitman. Because the truth behind Agent 47 is darker and more incredible than you ever imagined. Our story begins in Romania. In the year 1950, World War II has just ended, and the world is still reeling from the horrors it witnessed. But in a remote asylum, hidden in the mountains, a different kind of horror is about to begin. His name is Dr. Otto Wolfgang Ortmeyer, a brilliant geneticist, a former Nazi scientist, and a man obsessed with a single terrifying idea. What if you could create the perfect human being? Not through evolution, not through training, but through science. Through careful selection and manipulation of DNA. Ortmeyer believed that humanity was weak, flawed, held back by emotions like fear and compassion and love. He dreamed of creating something better, something superior. A new form of human that would be stronger, faster, smarter than anyone who came before, but most importantly, someone who could kill without hesitation, without remorse, without mercy. He called it the Clone Project. The idea was simple but horrifying. Take DNA from the most dangerous men alive, combine their genetic material, and create a superhuman assassin. But Ortmeyer had a problem. He could not do this alone. He needed funding. He needed resources. He needed protection from the law. And most importantly, he needed the DNA of killers. Real killers. Men who had proven themselves capable of unspeakable violence. Men whose genetic code carried the traits he desperately wanted. So Ortmeyer made a deal with the devil. Actually, he made a deal with 5 devils. 5 of the most dangerous criminals in the world. Men who shared his twisted vision. But these men wanted something in return. They wanted to live forever. They wanted to see themselves perfected. And Ortmeyer promised them exactly that. He would use their DNA to create an army of perfect soldiers. Clones that carried their strength, their intelligence, their ruthlessness, and in return, they would fund his experiments and protect him from anyone who tried to stop him. These 5 men became known as the 5 Fathers, and their decision to trust Ortmeyer would change the world forever. But here is what they did not know. Ortmeyer was using them. He had no intention of sharing his creations. He wanted the clones for himself, to control them, to command them, to build an army that answered only to him. And so, in the darkness of that Romanian asylum, the experiments began. Test after test, failure after failure. Dozens of clones created and discarded, like broken toys. Until finally one day, something worked. A clone that was different from all the others. stronger, smarter, more aware. They gave him a number instead of a name. Agent 47. Now let me tell you about the 5 monsters who gave 47 his abilities. Because understanding them is understanding what 47 became. The first father was Li Hong, a Chinese crime lord who controlled the Red Dragon Triad. Li Hong was ruthless and calculating. He built his empire through fear and manipulation. His territory stretched across Asia, and his word was law. Li Hong 47 inherited strategic thinking, the ability to read people, to understand their weaknesses, to know exactly how to destroy them without ever raising his voice. The second father was Pablo Belisario Ochoa, a Colombian drug lord who ran one of the most powerful cartels in South America. Ochoa was brutal and paranoid. He trusted no one and killed anyone who even looked at him wrong. From Ochoa, 47 inherited physical strength and endurance, the ability to survive in hostile environments, to adapt, to endure pain that would break normal men. The third father was Franz Fucus, an Austrian terrorist and bomb maker. Fucus was a ghost. He could disappear into crowds, strike without warning, leave nothing but destruction in his wake. From Fuchs 47 inherited precision and technical expertise, the knowledge of weapons and explosives, the patience to wait for the perfect moment to strike. The fourth father was Arkadich Jegorov, a Russian arms dealer and former Soviet operative. Jegorov was cold and efficient. Emotion meant nothing to him. Only results mattered. From Jegorov 47 inherited discipline and tactical brilliance, the ability to plan missions, down to the smallest detail, to eliminate targets with surgical precision. And the fifth father was Ort Meyer himself, the scientist who orchestrated everything. His contribution was not physical strength or tactical knowledge. It was something far more dangerous. Intelligence. Pure, raw intellect. The ability to solve problems that seemed impossible, to think 10 steps ahead of everyone else, to see patterns where others saw chaos. These 5 genetic donors created something none of them could have predicted. Individually, their traits were dangerous, but combined in one person, they became unstoppable. 47 was not just strong or smart or skilled. He was all of these things at once. He had the mind of a genius, the body of a perfect athlete, and absolutely no moral compass to hold him back. But there was something else, something the 5 fathers did not plan for, something Ort Meyer could not have predicted. 47 had a consciousness, a sense of self. He could think independently, question orders, choose his own path, and that made him more dangerous than any weapon they had ever created. The 5 fathers thought they were creating a slave, a perfect soldier who would obey without question. Instead, they created a predator, one that would eventually hunt them all down. Because 47 did not just inherit their strengths. He inherited their survival instinct, their understanding of betrayal, their knowledge that in this world you trust no one. And one day those lessons would come back to destroy them. Agent 47 was not the only experiment. Far from it. Ort Meyer created dozens of clones before him. Series 1, Series 2, Series 3. Each generation is an improvement over the last, but most of them were failures. Some were too aggressive. They attacked the staff, killed each other, could not be controlled. Others were too weak. Their bodies rejected the genetic modifications. They died within months. The successful clones were kept in the asylum, a massive underground facility beneath the mountains of Romania. This was their entire world: cold concrete halls, training rooms, laboratories, cells. They never saw sunlight, never felt rain, never knew what it meant to be free. From the moment they became aware, they were trained. Combat training, weapons training, tactical exercises. Every single day, they learned how to kill in 100 different ways. With guns, with knives, with their bare hands, with poison, with explosives. They studied anatomy so they knew exactly where to strike for maximum damage. They were taught languages, strategy, history, psychology, everything a perfect assassin would need to know. But they were never taught empathy, never taught compassion. Those emotions were weaknesses. Ort Meyer controlled everything. He was their creator, their teacher, their god. And they were conditioned to obey him without question. But 47 was different. Even as a young clone, he showed signs of independence. He completed every task perfectly, passed every test. But there was something in his eyes, a spark of awareness that made even Ort Meyer nervous. 47 watched everything, learned everything. Learned everything, not just what they taught him, but things they did not intend. He studied the guards, their routines, their weaknesses. He memorized the layout of the facility. He observed the other clones, how they thought, how they fought. And he realized something the others did not. They were not soldiers being trained. They were prisoners being used. Years passed. 47 grew stronger, more skilled, more dangerous. He became the perfect specimen. Everything Ortmeyer had dreamed of creating, but perfection came with a price. 47 had become too intelligent to remain a slave, too aware to accept his prison. And one day, he made a decision that would change everything. He was going to escape, not just for himself. He convinced several other clones to join him. They planned in secret, studied the guard rotations, found weaknesses in the security. And then, one night, they made their move. It was brutal, it was bloody, and it was successful. Guards died. Alarms blared. The facility descended into chaos. 47 and the other clones fought their way through the asylum, using everything they had been taught against their captors. They were outnumbered, but they were better trained, more ruthless, and they had nothing to lose. By dawn, several clones had escaped into the Romanian wilderness. 47 was among them. For the first time in his life, he stood under an open sky, felt wind on his face, tasted freedom. But freedom came with a cost. He had no identity, no money, no purpose. He was a weapon without a target, a killer without a cause, and the world had no idea what had just been unleashed. The escape was not just the end of his imprisonment, it was the beginning of a legend, because somewhere out there in the shadows an organization was watching. They had heard rumors of Ortmeyer's experiments, of the perfect assassins he had created, and they wanted one for themselves. They were called the International Contract Agency, and they were about to make 47 an offer that would define the rest of his life. After the escape, 47 vanished. He disappeared into Europe like a ghost. No identity, no records, no trail. For months, he survived on the streets, stealing, hiding, learning how the real world worked. But a man with his skills could not stay hidden forever, and he could not survive on nothing. He needed money, he needed purpose, and there was only one thing he knew how to do: kill. His first independent contract was small, a local crime boss in Hamburg, someone who had crossed the wrong people. 47 did not care about politics. He did not care about right or wrong. He accepted the job because he needed to eat, because he needed to prove to himself that he could survive outside the asylum. The target died quietly, professionally, no witnesses, no evidence. Just another body found in an alley. But someone noticed, someone always notices when a kill is that clean, that professional, that's perfect. The International Contract Agency, the ICA, the most elite organization of assassins in the world. They did not work for governments. They did not have political allegiances. They worked for anyone who could pay. But they were selective. They only recruited the best. And they had been watching 47 since the moment he escaped. They knew about Ortmeyer. They knew about the clones. And they wanted him. The ICA sent a representative to make contact. Her name was Diana Burnwood, young, intelligent, professional. She approached 47 with an offer he could not refuse. Work for the ICA, take contracts, earn money, and in return they would give him something he desperately needed: a new identity, protection, access to resources and information he could never obtain, alone. Most importantly, they would give him purpose, because a weapon without direction is just violence waiting to happen. But a weapon with purpose becomes something far more dangerous. 47 accepted. Not because he trusted them. Trust was not something he understood, but because it made sense. It was logical. It was survival. Diana became his handler, the only person he would communicate with. She would provide targets, intelligence, support, and he would execute the contracts. No questions asked. Their first official mission together was in Hong Kong. A corrupt businessman who had stolen from the wrong people. 47 studied the target for days, learned his routines, his security, his weaknesses. When the moment came, 47 struck, without hesitation. The target never saw him coming, never knew what hit him. By the time security arrived, 47 was already gone. Diana was impressed, not just by his skill, but by his precision, his patience, his complete lack of emotion. He did not enjoy killing. He did not hate his targets. He simply eliminated them. This was the beginning of a partnership that would last decades. Diana provided the intelligence. 47 provided the execution. Together, they became the most successful assassin and handler team in ICA history. Contract after contract, target after target. 47 built a reputation. The silent assassin, the ghost, the man who could kill anyone anywhere without leaving a trace. Governments feared him. Criminal organizations respected him, and no one knew his face. He was a legend. A myth, a story whispered in the dark corners of the underworld. But legends have a way of attracting attention, and 47's past was about to catch up with him, because the Five Fathers had heard rumors, whispers of a bald assassin with a barcode. They knew what he was, they knew what he could do, and they knew he was a threat, because if 47 ever learned the truth about his creation, he would come for them. And they were right to be afraid. For years, 47 worked for the ICA, without questioning his past. He did not care where he came from. He only cared about survival, about perfecting his craft. But the past has a way of finding you. It started with fragments of memory, dreams that felt too real, images of the asylum, of Ort Meyer, of the other clones. 47 began to wonder, to question, who created him, why he existed. Deanna noticed the change. She had access to classified information. She knew more about 47's origins than she ever told him. But she also knew that some truths were dangerous. Then one day, a new contract came through. The target was Li Hong, the Red Dragon Triad leader in Hong Kong, one of the most protected men in Asia. The contract was worth millions. 47 accepted without hesitation. But when Diana sent him the file, something stirred in his memory. He had seen this face before. Not in a photograph. In his dreams. In his fragmented memories. Li Hong was one of the Five Fathers. One of the men whose DNA created him. And suddenly, 47 understood. This was not just another contract. This was personal. He traveled to Hong Kong and began surveillance. Li Hong lived in a fortified restaurant, protected by dozens of guards. Security cameras everywhere. Multiple escape routes. It seemed impossible. But 47 was patient. He studied every detail, every weakness. He disguised himself as a delivery man, as a chef, as a guest. He moved through Li Hong's world like a shadow. When the moment came, 47 struck with surgical precision. Li Hong died never knowing that his own genetic creation had killed him, never understanding the irony of his death. But killing Li Hong opened something in 47. Memories flooded back, not complete, not clear, but enough. Enough to know there were four more. Four more fathers. Four more men responsible for his existence. And 47 made a decision. He would hunt them all. Not for revenge. 47 did not feel revenge. But for closure, for answers. The second target was Pablo Ochoa, the Colombian drug lord. He lived in a jungle compound surrounded by an army. But armies could not stop 47. Ochoa died in his own mansion. The third was France Fuchs, the terrorist. He was harder to find, always moving, always paranoid. But paranoia only delays the inevitable. 47 found him in Austria, killed him with his own explosives. The fourth was Arkadij Jagarov, the Russian. He had military connections, government protection, but governments could not save him. 47 eliminated him in Siberia, made it look like an accident. 4 down, 1 remaining. Dr. Otto Wolfgang Ortmeyer, the man who created him, the scientist who played God, the man responsible for everything. Finding Ortmeyer was not difficult. He was still in Romania, still in the asylum, still creating clones. He had built a new army, Series 8 clones. Faster, stronger, more obedient than 47 ever was. But none of them were as good as the original. Ortmeyer knew 47 was coming. He had known since Li Hong died. He prepared, set traps, activated his clone army, turned the asylum into a fortress. 47 did not care. He returned to the place of his creation, the asylum where his nightmare began. He fought through dozens of clones. His brothers, his copies. Each one he killed was like killing a part of himself. The halls were familiar. The smell, the sounds, everything came flooding back. The training, the experiments, the pain, the isolation. This place had shaped him, and now he would destroy it. He found Ortmeyer in the laboratory, the same room where he had been created. The scientist was not afraid. He was proud. He looked at 47 like a father looking at his greatest achievement. Ortmeyer tried to talk, tried to explain. tried to make 47 understand that he had given him a gift. The gift of perfection, of purpose, of being more than human. But 47 did not want to hear it. He did not want explanations or justifications. He raised his weapon. For a moment, Ort Meyer's expression changed, from pride to fear, from creator to victim. The shot echoed through the laboratory. Ort Meyer fell, and with him died the last connection to 47's past. The 5 fathers were gone. The experiments were over. The asylum would burn. 47 walked out into the night. The facility collapsed behind him. Fire consumed everything. The clones, the research, the evidence. It was all gone. He had killed the men who made him, destroyed the place that shaped him, but he did not feel relieved. He did not feel satisfaction. He felt nothing, because that was what they had created. A man who could kill his own father without feeling anything at all. After destroying the asylum, 47 tried something he had never done before. He tried to stop. He completed his contracts with the ICA, collected his payment, and then he disappeared. He wanted to know if he could be something other than a killer. If there was more to existence than contracts and targets and blood. He retreated to a church in Sicily. The church was old, quiet, isolated, run by a priest named Father Emilio Vittorio, a kind man who asked no questions, who welcomed 47 without judgment, who offered him peace. 47 worked as a gardener, tended the grounds, lived simply for the first time in his life. He experienced something close to normalcy, close to peace. He told himself he was done with killing. But peace is a luxury assassins cannot afford, because the world does not forget, and there are always people looking for weapons they can use. Father Vittorio was kidnapped, taken by the Russian mafia on orders from a man named Sergei Zavoroko, a former Russian colonel who had built a criminal empire. Sergei knew about 47, knew about his reputation. He wanted to force 47 back into the game, use him to eliminate Sergei's rivals, expand his criminal empire, and he knew the perfect leverage, the one person 47 cared about. Deanna contacted 47 with the news. She had been monitoring him even during his retirement. She knew about Father Vittorio. She knew Sergei had made a fatal mistake. Because there is nothing more dangerous than giving a man like 47 a personal reason to kill. 47 came out of retirement, not for money, not for the ICA, for the one person who had shown him kindness. Sergei's demands were clear. Complete a series of contracts. Eliminate his enemies. Prove your loyalty. And maybe Father Vittorio lives. Maybe 47 agreed. But he was not planning to follow orders. He was planning to tear Sergei's empire apart, piece by piece. The first target was a Japanese crime lord in Osaka, Sergei's business partner. 47 eliminated him during a private meeting, made it look like suicide. The second was an arms dealer in India, killed during a weapons demonstration. The third was a Russian general in Siberia, died in his own base, surrounded by his own soldiers. Each contract brought 47 closer to Sergei. Each kill weakened the Russian's empire, removed his protection, isolated him. Sergei realized too late what was happening. 47 was not following orders. He was hunting, using Sergei's own contracts against him, learning his network, mapping his organization. And when the trap was ready, 47 struck. He tracked Sergei to a remote facility in Russia, the same place where Father Vittorio was being held. The guards never saw him coming. 47 moved through the compound like death itself. He found Father Vittorio alive, scared but unharmed. And then he found Sergei. The Russian tried to negotiate, tried to offer money, power, anything 47 wanted. But 47 wanted only one thing: justice. Not in the legal sense. In the permanent sense. Sergei died begging for his life. 47 felt nothing. He had learned an important lesson during his retirement. You cannot escape what you are. You cannot run from your nature. He was created to kill, trained to kill, and trying to be anything else was denying reality. Father Vittorio was returned safely to Sicily. He thanked 47, told him he could always come back, that the church would always be open to him, that redemption was possible. But 47 knew better. Redemption was for people who felt guilt, who understood sin, who wanted forgiveness. He felt none of those things. He was what he was, a killer, the best in the world. He returned to the ICA. Diana welcomed him back without judgment. She had always known he would return, because men like 47 do not retire. They work until someone better kills them. And there was no one better. Contract after contract resumed. Mission after mission. 47 accepted his nature, his purpose, his existence. He would never try to be normal again. But the world of assassination was changing. New players were emerging, new organizations. And one of them was about to challenge the ICA directly. They called themselves the Franchise. And they wanted Agent 47 dead. The Franchise was not like the ICA. They were not professionals. They were businessmen. They saw assassination as an industry, something to monopolize, control, profit from. They wanted to replace the ICA, become the only organization providing contract killing services worldwide. And to do that, they needed to eliminate the competition. They needed to destroy the ICA's reputation. Their plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Frame the ICA for high-profile political assassinations. Make it look like they had gone rogue, lost control, turned their assassins into terrorists. Governments would hunt the ICA. Clients would abandon them, and the Franchise would step in to fill the void, present themselves as the professional alternative, the safer choice. The first frame job happened in Paris. A politician assassinated during a public speech. Evidence pointed to the ICA. 47's signature methods were used, but 47 was not there. Diana immediately knew something was wrong. Someone was copying their operations, using inside information. But who had access to ICA protocols and 47's techniques? More assassinations followed, each one designed to look like ICA contracts, each one creating more chaos, more pressure. Governments began hunting ICA agents, freezing their assets. The organization was bleeding. Operatives were being captured or killed. Safe houses were compromised. The ICA was at war, and they did not even know who they were fighting. Diana dug deeper, used every contact, every resource, and slowly the truth emerged. The Franchise, a shadow organization backed by powerful businessmen, led by a man named Alexander Leland Kane. Kane was a former U.S. intelligence operative. He understood how the game worked. He knew the ICA's weaknesses, and he was ruthless enough to exploit them. But Kane made one critical mistake. He underestimated 47. He thought of him as just another asset, another hired gun who could be manipulated or eliminated. He was wrong. Diana gave 47 new contracts, but these were not normal targets. These were the Franchise's operations, their agents, their sponsors. 47 began systematically dismantling their network. The first target was a Franchise operative in Chile, a man who specialized in political assassinations. 47 found him during an opera performance, killed him between acts. No one noticed until intermission. The second was in New Orleans, a weapons dealer who supplied the Franchise. 47 eliminated him during Mardi Gras. The body was not found for 3 days. The third was in Mississippi, a corrupt journalist working for Kane, someone who spread false information about the ICA. 47 made his death look like an accident. Each contract brought 47 closer to understanding the Franchise's structure, their methods, their endgame, and he realized something disturbing. Someone inside the ICA was helping them. There was a traitor, someone feeding information to the Franchise, someone who knew ICA protocols, safe houses, agent identities. The leak had to be found before more agents died. Diana investigated internally, quietly, carefully. She could not trust anyone. The traitor could be in any department, any level, even close to her. Meanwhile, 47 continued his war. More Franchise operatives died. More of their operations collapsed. Tane realized he was losing control. The ICA was not collapsing. They were fighting back. And they had the best weapon in the world. 47 received intel on a major Franchise meeting. Multiple targets in one location. High value. High risk. But the reward was worth it. The meeting was at a vineyard in Chile, heavily guarded, multiple layers of security. But 47 had infiltrated worse. He studied the location for days, found weaknesses, created opportunities. During the meeting, 47 struck, not with violence, with precision. He eliminated the guards quietly, one by one. Then he went after the Franchise leadership. Some died from poisoned wine, others from accidents, falls, malfunctions. By the time security realized something was wrong, half the targets were already dead. 47 escaped before the chaos fully erupted. The Franchise's leadership was decimated. Their operations in South America collapsed. But Kane was not there. He was safe in the United States. And he was planning something bigger, something that would not just destroy the ICA, something that would kill 47 permanently. The war was about to reach its final bloody chapter. Alexander Leland Kane was not just fighting the ICA. He was building something bigger, a new world order, where assassination was controlled by corporations, where death was just another business transaction. But to achieve this, he needed to destroy the symbol of everything the old world represented. Agent 47. The perfect assassin. The legend. If he could kill 47, he could prove that no one was untouchable. Kane had resources, money, political connections, access to military technology, and he had something more dangerous. He had a plan that 47 would never see coming. The ICA discovered the franchise, was planning something massive, a gathering of their remaining leadership and clients, a party in Las Vegas. Every major player would be there. It was the perfect opportunity. Eliminate them all in one strike, and not a franchise permanently. Diana gave 47 the contract, infiltrate the party, kill the targets, end this war. 47, prepared as he always did, studied the location, mapped escape routes, identified targets. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed like every other mission. But it was not, because Diana had been compromised, not willingly, not by choice. Kane had found her weakness. He had leverage over her, something she could not ignore, something that forced her hand. The party was a trap. The entire mission was designed to capture 47. Kane had studied him for months, knew his methods, his patterns, his psychology, and he had prepared accordingly. 47 entered the party, disguised as a guest. Everything seemed normal at first. Targets were where they should be. Security was predictable, but then something felt wrong. Too many guards, too many cameras, too much attention on specific areas. 47's instincts screamed danger, but by then, it was too late. The trap had already closed. Diana's voice came through his earpiece. She sounded different, stressed, afraid. She told him to abort, get out, but before 47 could move, the room erupted. Armed men appeared from everywhere. Not franchise operatives, not security guards, military contractors, trained killers. They knew exactly where he was. They had been waiting. 47 fought, killed dozens, but they kept coming. And then the drug hit. Hidden in the air system. A sedative designed specifically for his enhanced physiology, strong enough to drop an elephant. His vision blurred. His reflexes slowed. For the first time in his life, 47 felt vulnerable, weak, human. He tried to reach an exit, tried to fight, but his body would not respond. He collapsed. The last thing he saw was Kane standing over him, smiling, victorious, and then everything went black. 47 woke up in a laboratory, strapped to a table, unable to move. Kane was there, watching, studying him like a specimen. He explained everything, how he had manipulated Diana, how he had planned this for months, how 47 was going to die. But not quickly, not easily. Kane wanted to study him first, understand what made him special, extract his genetic code, use it to create his own enhanced operatives. Days passed, maybe weeks. 47 lost track of time. They ran tests, drew blood, scanned his brain. Kane documented everything, treated 47 like a lab animal, like property. Diana was forced to watch, forced to help. Kane had threatened someone she cared about, someone whose life depended on her cooperation. She had no choice. But Diana was smart. While she pretended to help, she was planning, looking for weaknesses, waiting for an opportunity. And when it came, she took it. She drugged the guards, disabled the cameras, and released 47 from his restraints. He was weak, drugged, barely conscious, but he was free. Diana helped him escape the facility. She gave him weapons, supplies, a vehicle, and she told him everything about Kane's leverage, about why she betrayed him, about how sorry she was. 47 said nothing. He drove away from the facility. Behind him, alarms blared. Guards scrambled, but 47 was gone, and Kane had made a fatal mistake. He had let 47 live. Because there is a difference between capturing a weapon and controlling it, and 47 was not the kind of weapon you could control. He was the kind that destroyed everything. Kane thought he had won, thought he had broken 47. Though the war was over, he was about to learn how wrong he was, because 47 was coming for him. And this time, it would not be business. It would be personal. After the escape, 47 went dark, disappeared completely. The ICA could not find him. Diana could not reach him. For months, he was a ghost. But he was not hiding. He was hunting. Hunting Alexander Leland Kane. Hunting everyone who had helped capture him. Hunting everyone connected to the franchise. And he was doing it without the ICA's resources. Without support, alone. This was different from every other contract he had ever taken. This was not about money, not about duty. This was about sending a message. No one captures Agent 47 and lives. Meanwhile, Diana faced consequences. The ICA blamed her for 47's capture, for compromising the mission. They did not care about Kane's leverage, did not care about her reasons. In their eyes, she had betrayed the organization, betrayed 47, and that was unforgivable. She was stripped of her position, investigated, watched. The ICA wanted to make sure she had not caused more damage. But Diana had one more card to play. She had information. Critical intelligence about the franchise's final operation. Something bigger than anyone realized. Something that would change everything. Kane was not just trying to monopolize assassination. He was working with powerful people. Politicians. Corporate leaders. Military contractors. They were building a new power structure. A shadow government. One that controlled who lived and who died. Who won elections. Who started wars. Assassination was just the beginning. They wanted total control. And at the center of it all was a girl. A teenager named Victoria. She seemed like a normal kid, but she was not. She was another genetic experiment. Another attempt to create the perfect weapon. Victoria had been created using similar technology to what made 47 enhanced abilities. Superior intelligence. But she was different. She was younger, more impressionable, more controllable. Kane's organization wanted to use her, train her, turn her into their own version of 47. A weapon they could command, an assassin they could control from childhood. Diana discovered this through her remaining contacts. She realized Victoria was in danger, realized someone needed to save her, and there was only one person capable of that mission. Agent 47. Diana found a way to contact him, left messages in places only he would look, used codes only he would understand, and eventually he responded, not with words, with action. Diana met him in a remote location. She explained everything about Victoria, about Kane's plan, about the Shadow organization, and she made a request that surprised even her. Kill me. Make it look real. Give me a cover story. Let the ICA think I am dead, so I can protect Victoria. 47 considered it. Logic told him to refuse, to walk away, but something else stopped him. Diana had saved him, given him his freedom back, risked everything to release him. And despite everything she had been forced to do, she had remained loyal. 47 agreed, not because he felt gratitude. He did not feel gratitude, but because it made strategic sense. Diana alive and hidden was more useful than Diana dead or imprisoned. He shot her, non-lethal, made it look fatal. The ICA believed she was dead, believed 47 had killed her for her betrayal. The perfect cover. Diana went underground with Victoria. But Kane discovered the deception, realized Diana was alive, realized she had Victoria, and he sent everything he had to retrieve the girl. Private military contractors, trained killers, an entire army. They tracked Diana to South Dakota, a small town where she was hiding. Diana knew they were coming. She contacted 47 one last time, asked for help. Not for herself, for Victoria. 47 came, not because he cared about the girl, not because he wanted to be a hero, but because Kane had tried to make him a victim, had tried to study him, break him, use him, and that was unacceptable. The battle in South Dakota was brutal. Kane's forces attacked in waves, but they were not fighting random targets. They were fighting Agent 47. He moved through them like a storm, eliminated them systematically. Every tactical advantage they had meant nothing. Every weapon they brought was turned against them. 47 saved Victoria, protected Diana, and sent a message to Kane. You cannot control me. You cannot use me. And if you try again, I will kill everyone you have ever known. The war with the franchise ended not with a truce, but with annihilation. 47 hunted down every remaining member, every sponsor, every supporter. The organization collapsed. Kane died last. 47 found him trying to flee the country, trying to disappear. But you cannot hide from someone who has tracked you across continents. Kane begged, offered money, offered everything. 47 killed him without a word, without ceremony. Just another target eliminated. Just another problem solved. Victoria was placed in protective custody. Diana remained in hiding. And 47 returned to the ICA. They reinstated him without question, without apology, because they needed him. Because he was too valuable to lose. The world kept turning. Contracts kept coming. Targets kept dying. But something had changed. 47 had learned something during absolution. He had learned that loyalty mattered, that some people were worth protecting. Not many, not most, but some. And that made him more dangerous than ever, because a weapon with nothing to lose is predictable, but a weapon with something to protect is unstoppable. Years passed. Technology advanced. The world changed, but assassination remained the same. People with power wanted people without power, dead, and organizations like the ICA made it happen. 47 continued working. Mission after mission. Country after country. He had perfected his craft to an art form. Every kill was cleaner, more efficient, more creative. He was no longer just an assassin. He was the standard, the benchmark, the legend that other killers aspired to become. But legends attract attention, and someone had been watching 47 for a very long time. The ICA received a new contract. High profile, high pay, a fashion show in Paris. The target was a famous model and spy named Viktor Novikov. He seemed like a normal target. But Diana's intel suggested something deeper. Novikov was connected to an organization called IAGO, an information broker network that sold secrets to the highest bidder. IAGO had access to intelligence that could topple governments, start wars, destroy economies. And Novikov was using a fashion show as cover to sell classified information. 47 prepared for the mission. Studied the venue, the Palais de Wallowain, a massive palace converted into a fashion show venue. Hundreds of guests, dozens of guards, multiple targets. Because Novikov was not alone, his partner Delia Margolis was equally dangerous. She ran IAGO's operations. Between them, they knew secrets that made them untouchable, or so they thought. 47 infiltrated the fashion show, disguised as staff, as a model, as a guest. He moved through the palace like he belonged, like he was invisible, and one by one, the targets fell. Novikov died during the show, made to look like an accident. Margolis died in her private auction room, never saw it coming. IAGO's operation was destroyed, their secrets seized by the ICA. But something bothered 47 about the mission. The intel was too perfect, the timing too convenient. Someone had wanted IAGO destroyed. Someone had used the ICA as their weapon. The next contract confirmed his suspicions. Sapienza, Italy. A scientist named Silvio Caruso. He was developing a DNA-specific bioweapon, a virus that could target individuals based on their genetic code. The implications were terrifying. Assassinate anyone anywhere without leaving evidence, without needing an assassin. Just release the virus and let biology do the work. 47 eliminated Caruso, destroyed the virus, saved countless lives. But again, the mission felt orchestrated. Someone was directing these contracts. Someone with their own agenda. More missions followed. Marrakesh, a corrupt general and a banker. Bangkok, a lawyer and a rock star. Colorado, a militia compound. Hokkaido, a medical facility. Each target connected to something larger. Diana investigated between missions, used her contacts, followed the money trail, and slowly a pattern emerged. Every target was connected to an organization called Providence. Providence was not like the franchise. They were not criminals or terrorists. They were the opposite. They were the establishment, the system, the people who really controlled the world. Politicians, bankers, corporate leaders, military commanders. They had existed for centuries, operated in absolute secrecy, shaped human history from the shadows. And someone was targeting them. Someone was using the ICA to eliminate Providence's operations, to weaken their control, to expose their existence. But who had the resources to fight Providence? The answer came from an unexpected source. A message sent directly to 47, not through Diana, not through the ICA, directly to him, from someone who knew his private protocols. The message was simple. I know what you are. I know who created you. I know about the asylum, about the Five Fathers, about everything, and I need your help. The message was signed, Lucas Gray. The name meant nothing to 47, but the information proved its authenticity. This person knew things only someone from the asylum could know. Someone who had been there. Someone who understood. Someone who might be just like him. 47 traced the message, found its origin, and began investigating Lucas Gray. What he discovered changed everything. Lucas Gray was not just another contract killer. He was not just another enemy. He was something 47 never thought he would find. He was another clone. Another product of Ortmeyer's experiments. Someone who had escaped the asylum the same night as 47. Someone who had survived. Someone who remembered. And Lucas Gray was not just fighting Providence. He was preparing for war. A war that would expose everything, change everything, destroy everything. And he wanted 47 to join him. Because Providence was not just controlling the world, they had been involved in the clone experiments. They had funded Ortmeyer. They had helped create 47. And Lucas Gray wanted revenge, not just for himself, for all the clones, for everyone Providence had used and discarded. He wanted to burn their empire to the ground. 47 faced a choice. Continue working for the ICA, keep taking contracts, live the life he knew, or join Lucas Gray, fight Providence, uncover the truth about his creation. For the first time in his life, 47 hesitated, because this was not about logic, not about survival. This was about something deeper, something he did not fully understand. Identity, purpose, revenge, concepts that should mean nothing to him, but concepts that suddenly felt important. Diana noticed his distraction, noticed the change. She asked what was wrong. Water Savant told her everything about the message, about Lucas Gray, about Providence. And Diana made a decision that would define everything that followed. She chose to help him, to investigate Providence, to uncover the truth. Because if Providence was really behind everything, then the ICA was just another tool they controlled. And Diana refused to be a tool. The war against Providence had begun. But this war would be different, because this time, 47 was not fighting for money or contracts. He was fighting for answers, and the answers would cost more than anyone could imagine. Lucas Gray was a ghost. No photographs, no records, no confirmed sightings. He operated through intermediaries, through proxies, through carefully planned operations that left no trace. But he was real, and he was methodical. He had spent decades building resources, recruiting operatives, gathering intelligence, all to prepare for his war against Providence. His organization was called the Militia, not criminals, not terrorists, soldiers, people who had been hurt by Providence, people who wanted justice, people willing to die for the cause. 47 began investigating Gray's operations, not to stop him, to understand him, to determine if his claims about Providence were true, and everything he found confirmed the worst. Providence was real. They had existed for over 200 years, founded by powerful families who believed they knew what was best for humanity. They called themselves the Constant and the Partners. They manipulated elections, started wars, controlled economies, all in the name of stability, of progress, of protecting humanity from itself. They were not evil, they were worse. They were convinced they were right, convinced their control was necessary, convinced that freedom was dangerous, and they had the power to enforce their vision. Providence had funded Ortmeyer's research, not out of cruelty. They wanted perfect soldiers for peacekeeping, operatives who could eliminate threats without emotion, without hesitation. They saw 47 and the other clones as tools, experiments, property, and when the asylum was destroyed, they simply moved on to other projects, other ways to control the world. Lucas Gray had discovered this years ago, had spent his life preparing to expose them, to destroy them, and he needed 47 because 47 was the best weapon ever created. Gray sent another message, this time with a location, a meeting place, neutral ground. He wanted to talk face to face, to convince 47 to join his cause. 47 went to the meeting, not because he trusted Gray. Trust was not something he gave easily, but because he needed answers. Needed to see Gray with his own eyes. The meeting place was a warehouse in Argentina, isolated, defenseless. Gray was taking a risk by exposing himself. That meant he was serious. That meant this mattered to him. 47 arrived first, secured the location, set up escape routes, prepared for betrayal. Then Gray walked in, and 47 saw something he never expected to see. A reflection, not physically. They did not look identical, but in the way Gray moved, the way he analyzed his surroundings. The way he calculated threats, they were the same. Gray spoke first. He told his story about the asylum, about escaping with 47 that night, about surviving in the wilderness, about building a new life, about discovering Providence. He talked about the experiments, about the clones who did not survive, about the cruelty of their creation, about how Providence saw them as objects, as disposable. Gray's voice was calm, logical, but beneath it, 47 heard something else. Emotion, anger, pain, things 47 had been trained to suppress, things he thought he did not feel. But hearing Gray talk about the asylum brought back memories, real memories, not fragments, not dreams. Complete images of that night, of escaping together, of promising to survive. 47 remembered, not everything, but enough. Lucas Gray was not just another clone. He was Subject 6, the clone who had convinced the others to escape, the one who had planned everything. They had been brothers in the only way that mattered, created together, trained together, escaped together, and then separated in the wilderness, each thinking the other was dead. Gray offered 47 a partnership, not master and servant, not handler and asset, partners, equals, two weapons working together to destroy the system that created them. 47 considered the offer. Logic said, refuse. Working with Gray meant going against the ICA, against Providence, against the entire world order. The risks were astronomical. But logic also said Gray was right. Providence had used them, created them, discarded them, and they were still using enhanced operatives, still experimenting, still playing God. 47 made his decision. He would help Gray, not as an ally, not as a friend, but as a partner with the same goal: destroy Providence, expose their operations, and their control. But there was a condition. Diana had to know everything, had to be included, had to help coordinate, because 47 knew he could not fight this war alone. Gray agreed. He trusted 47's judgment, and if Diana was as capable as 47 believed, then she was an asset they needed. The partnership was formed, the Shadow Client and Agent 47. Together, they began dismantling Providence's operations. Gray provided intelligence, identified targets, coordinated militia operations. 47 executed the eliminations. Diana managed the logistics. They hit Providence financial networks, their information sources, their political connections. Each operation weakened Providence, exposed their methods, made them vulnerable. But Providence was not defenseless. They had resources 47 could not imagine. They had operatives, assets, connections in every government, every corporation, every military. And they had something more dangerous. They had a leader who understood exactly what 47 and Gray were capable of. Someone who had studied them, prepared for them. His name was Arthur Edwards, the Constant, the man who controlled Providence's day-to-day operations, and he was about to show them that Providence did not fall easily. Because Providence had been preparing for threats like 47 for centuries. They had contingencies, plans, resources, and they were willing to do anything to maintain control. The war had truly begun, and before it ended, the world would learn the truth about Providence, about the clones, about everything hidden in the shadows. But truth comes with a price, and that price would be paid in blood. The partnership between 47 and Lucas Gray changed everything. For the first time since his creation, 47 was working with someone who truly understood him, someone who shared his past. Their operations became more aggressive, more coordinated. Gray's militia provided ground support, intelligence gathering, distractions, while 47 handled the actual eliminations, the precision strikes. Deanna coordinated from ICA headquarters. She had not told the ICA about Gray, had not revealed the connection to Providence. As far as they knew, these were normal contracts. But she was walking a dangerous line, using ICA resources to fight a secret war. If discovered, she would be executed for treason. But she believed in the mission, believed Providence needed to fall. The first major operation targeted Providence financial networks, a bank in New York. The target was a woman named Athena Savalas. She managed Providence's offshore accounts. Billions of dollars, hidden in shell companies, used to fund operations, buy politicians, start conflicts. Athena thought she was untouchable, protected by layers of security and anonymity. 47 proved her wrong. He infiltrated the bank during a charity gala, disguised as a guest, as security, as staff. He moved through the building like smoke. Athena died in her office. Heart attack. Natural causes. Except it was not natural. It was poison. Untraceable. By the time anyone found her, 47 had already transferred critical data to Gray. Account numbers. Transaction records. Names of Providence operatives. The data was damaging, but it was just the beginning. Gray used it to identify the next targets. Miami, Florida. A racing event. The target was Robert Knox, a tech billionaire who developed weapons for Providence. His latest creation was an autonomous assassination platform. A drone that could identify targets using facial recognition, track them anywhere, eliminate them without human intervention. The perfect weapon for maintaining control. 47. Eliminated Knox during the race. Made it look like an accident, destroyed the prototype, set back Providence weapons program by years. But Knox was not alone. His daughter Sierra Knox was there. She knew about Providence, about her father's work. She could continue his research. Gray's intelligence said eliminate her too. 47 hesitated. Not because of morality. 47 did not think in terms of right and wrong, but because Sierra was not directly involved. She was adjacent, collateral. Gray insisted. Said she was a threat. 47 made the call himself. Eliminated her. Justified it as strategic necessity. But something about it felt different, felt wrong. He pushed the thought aside, focused on the mission. More targets followed. Mumbai, India, a Bollywood film set. The target was a corrupt businesswoman named Vanya Shah. She laundered money for Providence, controlled their operations in Asia. 47 infiltrated the set, became an extra, a crew member, a makeup artist. He moved through the chaos of film production, invisible. Shah died during a staged accident scene. The real accident was indistinguishable from the fake one. By the time anyone realized what happened, 47 was gone. Gray's militia secured the evidence. Providence Asian network collapsed. Each operation brought them closer to Providence's leadership, to the partners. The three families who actually controlled the organization, the ones who made the real decisions. But Providence was adapting. They knew someone was targeting them, knew it was coordinated, professional. They suspected Gray. They suspected 47, but they had no proof. Arthur Edwards, the constant, decided to change tactics. Instead of defending Providence operations, he would go on offense. He would target Gray's militia, destroy his resources. He would expose 47's involvement to the ICA, turn the organization against him, and he would use every resource. Providence had to eliminate both threats permanently. The first strike came in Colombia. Gray's militia had a compound there, training facilities, supply depots, intelligence centers. Providence sent a mercenary army to destroy it. The attack was brutal. Dozens of militia members died. The compound burned. Gray barely escaped. For the first time since the war began, he was on the defensive. 47 was in Whittleton Creek, Vermont, at the time, tracking another Providence operative, a suburban neighborhood hiding a secret base. When he heard about Colombia, he knew things had changed. Providence was not just defending anymore. They were hunting, and they had the resources to win. Gray contacted 47, said they needed to accelerate the plan. Hit Providence harder, faster. The next target was on the Isle of Scale, a private island. Providence was holding a meeting of the Ark Society, their inner circle, the people who knew all of Providence secrets. It was heavily guarded, invitation only, hidden from the world. But Gray had infiltrated their communications, learned about the meeting. This was their chance. Eliminate the Ark Society's leadership, steal their data, expose Providence to the world. It was the most dangerous mission 47 had ever attempted. But it was also the most important. 47 infiltrated the island. The security was unlike anything he had faced. Biometric scanners, facial recognition, armed guards everywhere. But he adapted, found weaknesses, created opportunities. The targets fell, one by one. A councilwoman, a banker, a general. Each death looked accidental, natural, unconnected. By the time security realized something was wrong, half the leadership was dead. 47 secured the data. Providence complete network, every operative, every operation, every secret. He transmitted it to Gray and Diana. Then he disappeared into the night. The operation was a success, but it came with a cost. Arthur Edwards now knew for certain who was targeting Providence. He knew about Gray, about 47, about Diana. And he was preparing a response, not just military, not just tactical, psychological. He was going to turn them against each other, destroy the partnership from within. Because Edwards understood something about 47 and Gray. They were not allies. They were not friends. They were weapons working toward the same goal. And weapons can always be redirected. All you need is the right leverage, the right pressure, the right manipulation. Edwards had all three. The war was about to become personal. After the Isle of Sail Operation Providence went dark, no communications, no operations, no movements. It was like the entire organization had vanished. Gray knew better. Silence was not surrender. It was preparation. Providence was regrouping, planning their counterstrike. And when it came, it would be devastating. He was right. Arthur Edwards had spent weeks analyzing 47 and Gray, studying their partnership, looking for weaknesses. And he found the perfect one, Diana Burnwood. Diana was the connection between 47 and the ICA, the bridge between his old life and his new mission. If Edwards could break that connection, he could isolate 47, make him vulnerable. Edwards accessed Diana's files, her history, her family, and he discovered something she had kept hidden for years. Her parents had been killed when she was young, murdered, but it was not random. It was a contract, carried out by an ICA operative, someone following orders, someone eliminating a threat to Providence. Diana had joined the ICA to find the killer. She had spent years investigating, following leads, and she had discovered the truth. The operative who killed her parents was still alive, still working, still killing. That operative was Agent 47. Not personally, he had not pulled the trigger, but he had been involved. The contract had been part of a larger operation, one he participated in. Edwards made sure Diana learned this truth, sent her the evidence, the mission files, the proof. He knew exactly what it would do. It would destroy her trust in 47. Diana confronted 47 with the information, asked if it was true. 47 did not deny it, did not apologize, simply confirmed the facts. It was a contract. He completed it. That was his purpose. Diana's reaction was cold, controlled, but beneath it, 47 sensed something had changed. The partnership was damaged, maybe beyond repair. Edwards had succeeded, but he was not done. His next target was Lucas Gray himself. Edwards had discovered something about Gray, about his militia, about the people he had recruited. Many of them were not freedom fighters, not idealists. They were criminals, mercenaries, people who joined because Gray paid them, because they saw profit in chaos. Edwards exposed this to 47, showed him evidence, proved that Gray's righteous crusade was built on lies and manipulation, that Gray was using people just like Providence did. 47 confronted Gray about it. Gray did not deny it. Said sometimes you need flawed tools to accomplish perfect goals. Said the ends justified the means. 47 understood the logic. But he also understood what it meant. Gray was willing to sacrifice anyone for his revenge. Would manipulate anyone, use anyone, just like the people who created them. The partnership began to fracture. Diana pulled back, stopped sharing intelligence as freely. Gray became more secretive, stopped telling 47 everything. Trust was eroding. Edwards watched this happen exactly as he planned. But he had one more move, one final strike that would break them completely. He revealed the location of the partners. The three families who controlled Providence. The people at the very top. The ones responsible for everything. He gave Gray and 47 exactly what they wanted. But it was a trap. Not a physical trap. A psychological one. Because the partners were not what Gray expected. They were not monsters. They were not tyrants. They were just people. Old, tired. Convinced they were doing the right thing. Convinced their control prevented chaos. Convinced that without them, the world would tear itself apart. Gray did not care. He wanted them dead. Wanted revenge for what they did. For the experiments. For the clones. For his lost childhood. He planned to eliminate them himself. 47 was assigned to handle security. To clear the path. To make sure Gray could reach the partners. But during the operation, something happened. Something unexpected. One of the partners was a woman named Alexa Carlisle. She knew about the clones, had access to files, and she told 47 something that changed everything. Providence had not created the clones to be weapons. They had created them to be saved. Ort Meir had been experimenting on children, kidnapping them, torturing them. Providence had funded his research to gain access, to gather evidence, to eventually shut him down. The clones were an unintended consequence, a mistake. not the goal. 47 did not know if this was true, did not know if Carlisle was lying to save herself. But it created doubt, made him question everything. Gray had told him. He completed the mission, secured the area, let Gray through, but he hesitated. For the first time he questioned if revenge was worth it. If killing these people solved anything. Gray reached the partners, confronted them, demanded they answer for their crimes, and they did. They explained everything, their perspective, their reasoning, their mistakes. Gray did not care. He raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Providence's security forces arrived. Dozens of armed operatives. They had been waiting. Edwards had planned this perfectly. A firefight erupted. Gray's militia engaged Providence forces. The partners used the chaos to escape. The mission was falling apart. 47 had to choose. Help Gray escape, save his life, continue the partnership, or let Providence capture him, end the war, return to his old life. The choice should have been easy. But it was not, because 47 had learned something during this war. Revenge did not bring satisfaction. Killing the partners would not change what happened. He had killed the 5 fathers, had killed Ort Meyer, had destroyed the asylum, and none of it had made him feel complete. None of it had given him purpose. He made his decision. He helped Gray escape. Not because of loyalty, not because of friendship, but because Gray was right. About one thing. Providence needed to be exposed, not destroyed, not killed, but revealed. The world needed to know what they had done, what they were still doing. 47 and Gray escaped the compound. But the mission was a failure. The partners survived, Providence remained intact, and the partnership was irreparably damaged. Gray blamed 47 for hesitating, for not committing fully. 47 blamed Gray for lying, for manipulating, for being no better than Providence. They parted ways. Diana remained distant, working with 47 but not trusting him. The alliance that had fought Providence was broken, and Edwards had won without killing anyone. He had done something worse. He had made them doubt themselves, doubt each other, doubt the mission, and doubt was more effective than any weapon. But the war was not over, because Providence made one final mistake. They thought breaking the alliance was enough. They thought 47 would return to being a simple assassin. They were wrong, because 47 had learned something else during this war. He had learned that he was not just a weapon. He was a person who could choose, and his choice was to finish what they started. Not for revenge, not for Gray, but because it was right. Providence needed to end, and he was going to end it. The months following the failed operation were the darkest of 47's existence. Diana barely spoke to him. Gray had disappeared completely, and the ICA was starting to ask questions. They had noticed patterns in recent contracts, noticed that many targets were connected, that someone was using the ICA for personal missions. They suspected Diana. They suspected 47. An internal investigation began. Quietly, secretly, the ICA board wanted answers, wanted to know if their best operative had gone rogue, if their best handler had betrayed them. 47 continued taking contracts, maintained his cover, but he knew the investigation would eventually expose everything. He needed to act to finish the war before that happened. Diana finally contacted him, not through official channels, through a dead drop. She said they needed to meet, to talk, to figure out what came next. They met in Berlin, an abandoned nightclub, neutral ground. Diana arrived first. She looked tired, worn down by the lies, by the guilt, by the weight of everything. She told 47 she understood now, understood why he had completed that contract all those years ago, why he had been involved in her parents' deaths. He was following orders. Just like she followed orders. Just like everyone in their world followed orders. The system was designed to remove personal responsibility, to make killing impersonal. But she also told him something else. She had been working with Arthur Edwards, not betraying 47, not helping Providence, playing a deeper game. Edwards had approached her months ago, offered her a deal, work with Providence, help them neutralize Gray, and in return, they would leave 47 alone. Let him go back to his life. Diana had agreed, not because she betrayed 47, but because she was buying time, gathering intelligence, learning Providence plans, preparing for the final move. She had discovered something critical. Providence was not monolithic. The partners disagreed on how to handle the 47 problem. One wanted him eliminated, one wanted him recruited, one wanted him left alone. This division was their weakness. If 47 could exploit it, He could tear Providence apart from within, turn them against each other, but it required trust. Diana asked 47 if he trusted her. After everything, after the lies, after the manipulation, could he trust her one more time? 47 considered the question. Trust was not something he understood. Naturally, it was not logical, not tactical. It was emotional, but he had learned during the war that some things transcended logic. He told Diana yes. He trusted her, not because she had earned it, not because she had deserved it, but because trust was a weapon, and he needed every weapon available. Diana revealed her plan. Arthur Edwards was the key to everything. He controlled Providence's day-to-day operations. Without him, the organization would collapse into infighting. But Edwards was paranoid, protected, hidden. The only way to reach him was to become his ally, to make him believe you were on his side, to gain his trust. And Diana was going to do exactly that. She was going to betray 47, publicly, completely, convince Edwards she had switched sides, that she wanted 47 eliminated. It was dangerous. If Edwards suspected deception, he would kill her. If 47 failed to play his part, the plan would collapse. But it was the only way. 47 agreed. They staged the betrayal perfectly. Diana leaked information to Providence, exposed 47's location, sent operatives to eliminate him, made it look completely real. 47 fought his way out, killed the operatives, escaped, made it look like Diana had genuinely tried to kill him. Edwards believed it. He welcomed Diana into Providence, made her part of his inner circle, gave her access to information, to resources, to his plans. Everything Diana needed, but there was a complication. Lucas Gray had resurfaced. He had been planning his own operation against Providence, and he did not know about Diana's deception. He thought she had genuinely betrayed 47. Gray contacted 47, said they needed to work together again, said they were the only ones who could stop Providence now. 47 told him about Diana's plan. Gray did not believe it, said Diana was compromised, said she was playing 47, said Edwards was too smart to be fooled. The trust between them was completely gone. Gray went ahead with his own plan, a direct assault on Providence headquarters, a suicide mission designed to kill as many of them as possible, even if it killed him too. 47 tried to stop him, tried to convince him to wait, to trust the plan. But Gray was beyond reason, beyond logic. He was consumed by revenge, by hate. The assault happened in Romania, at the very asylum where they had been created. Providence had rebuilt it, used it as a secure facility. Gray attacked with everything he had. His militia fought Providence security forces. Gray himself pushed toward the center of the compound, toward Arthur Edwards, toward the end. 47 arrived during the battle, not to fight, to save Gray, to stop him from throwing his life away. He found Gray wounded, bleeding, cornered by Providence operatives. 47 eliminated them, pulled Gray to safety, but Gray was dying. The wounds were too severe. He had minutes left, maybe less. They talked for the last time. Gray apologized, said he had let revenge consume him, said he should have trusted 47, should have trusted Diana, should have been patient. Water 47 told him his sacrifice was not meaningless, that it had weakened Providence, that the plan would work, that they would win. Gray smiled, said he hoped so. Then he asked 47 for one last favor. Finish it. End Providence. Expose them. Make sure everyone knew what they did, what they were still doing. 47 promised, not because of sentiment, not because of friendship, but because it was the right thing to do. Gray died in that asylum, in the same place where he was created. The circle was complete. The clone who escaped, who fought, who tried to be more than a weapon, had died trying to destroy the system that made him. 47 left the compound with Gray's body, gave him a proper burial, not in Romania, but somewhere peaceful, somewhere far from violence and death. It was the first time 47 had attended a funeral, the first time he mourned someone. He did not cry, did not feel sadness the way normal people did. But he felt lost. I felt the absence. It felt like something important was gone, and that feeling drove him forward, gave him purpose, made him determined. Providence had taken everything from Gray, and now 47 was going to take everything from them. Not with violence, not with rage, but with precision. He contacted Diana, told her Gray was dead, that it was time to finish the plan, that Arthur Edwards needed to die. Diana agreed. She had all the intelligence they needed, Edward's location, his security, his routines, everything. The final mission was ready, and this time, there would be no mistakes. Arthur Edwards knew they were coming. He had always known from the moment Diana joined Providence. He suspected deception, but he let it happen, because he had his own plan. Edwards understood 47 better than anyone. Better than Gray. Better than Diana. Better than 47 understood himself. And he was going to use that understanding as a weapon. The final confrontation happened in Dubai. In the tallest building in the world, the Burj Al Ghazali, Providence had turned the top floors into a fortress. Impenetrable. Impossible. But impossible was just another word for difficult. And 47 specialized in difficult. He infiltrated the building during a corporate event. Thousands of people. Perfect cover. Diana coordinated from inside Providence. She fed 47 intelligence. Disabled security systems. Created opportunities. But she was also in danger. If discovered, she would be executed. 47 worked his way up the building, floor by floor, target by target. Providence had stationed operatives everywhere, but they were not prepared for someone like 47. He moved through them like death itself. Silent, efficient, unstoppable. By the time anyone realized what was happening, he was already 20 floors up. The partners were meeting at the top, one final council before Providence made their next move. They believed they were safe, believed their security was sufficient. 47 reached the meeting room, eliminated the guards outside, entered. The partners looked up, saw him, understood what was about to happen. But 47 did not kill them, not yet. He needed them alive, needed them to expose Providence themselves, to confess their crimes, to destroy the organization from within. Diana had set up a live broadcast. Cameras, microphones, everything. The partners would tell the world what Providence was, what they had done, or they would die on camera. The choice was theirs. The first to speak was Alexa Carlyle. She confessed everything. The manipulations, the assassinations, the control, centuries of hidden power revealed. The broadcast went worldwide. Millions watched. Governments, media, citizens. Providence's existence was exposed. Their operations revealed. Their power shattered. The other partners tried to escape. 47 stopped them, forced them back, made them answer for everything. But then Edwards appeared. He had been watching the entire time, waiting, and he was not afraid, not angry. He was calm, almost pleased. He told 47 this was always the plan. Providence needed to end, not because of 47, not because of Gray, but because it had become corrupt, inefficient, dangerous. Edwards himself wanted it destroyed. And he had used 47 to do it, had orchestrated everything. The war, the betrayals, the final confrontation. All of it designed to bring Providence down. But Edwards had one final card to play. He revealed that Diana's parents had not been killed by 47. They had been killed by Edwards himself, years before 47 ever met Diana. Edwards had recruited Diana, specifically to handle 47, had manipulated her entire life, used her grief, used her desire for revenge, turned her into the perfect handler. Diana heard this, understood what it meant. Her entire relationship with 47 had been built on lies, on manipulation, on Edward's design. Water 7 saw her face, saw the realization, the horror, the betrayal, and for the first time since Gray's death, he felt something close to anger. Edwards had not just manipulated Providence. He had manipulated everyone, used everyone, played them all like pieces on a board, and he was proud of it. 47 raised his weapon, pointed it at Edwards. The man did not flinch, did not beg, he simply smiled, said that killing him changed nothing. The system would continue. Someone else would rise, create a new Providence, a new organization, because humanity needed control, needed guidance, needed someone to make the hard decisions. 47 pulled the trigger. Edwards fell, the smile still on his face. Even in death, he believed he was right, believed he had won. The partners were arrested. Providence assets were seized. The organization collapsed. Governments scrambled to contain the fallout. The world changed overnight. 47 and Diana escaped Dubai before authorities arrived. They met one final time in a safe house, talked about what came next, about whether they could continue working together. Diana said she understood. If 47 wanted to leave, wanted to disappear, after everything Edwards had done, everything she had unknowingly been part of. 47 considered it, thought about walking away, about finding something else, about being something other than an assassin. But he realized something. Edwards was right about one thing. The system would continue. New organizations would rise. New targets would emerge. The world would always need someone like him. Not because killing was good, not because violence was the answer, but because sometimes the only way to stop evil was with precision, with skill, with someone willing to do what others would not. He told Diana he would stay, would continue working, would take contracts. But on his terms now, he would choose his targets, choose his missions, choose his purpose. Diana agreed, said the ICA would accept those terms, because losing 47 was not an option. He was too valuable, too skilled, too important. They parted ways. 47 returned to his work, but something had changed. He was no longer just following orders, no longer just a weapon. He was Agent 47, the world's greatest assassin, a legend, a ghost, a killer, but also something more, something Edwards and Ortmeyer and Providence could never create. He was free, and that freedom made him more dangerous than ever, because a weapon with purpose is powerful, but a weapon that chooses its own purpose is unstoppable. The war with Providence was over. The clones were avenged. The truth was exposed, but 47's story was not finished. It was just beginning. Because somewhere in the world, someone was doing something terrible. Someone needed to be stopped, and when that happened, Agent 47 would be there. Silent, professional, lethal, ready to deliver justice in the only way he knew how, with a bullet, with poison, with his bare hands. The legend continues. The story goes on, and Agent 47 remains what he has always been, the perfect assassin, the ultimate weapon, the man behind the barcode. And there you have it, the complete story of Agent 47, from a laboratory experiment to the most legendary assassin in gaming history. But his journey is more than just a story about killing. It is a story about identity, about what makes us human, about whether we are defined by how we are created or by the choices we make. 47 was designed to be a weapon without emotion, without conscience, without humanity. But throughout his journey, he proved that even weapons can evolve, can grow, can choose their own path. He formed connections with Diana, with Gray, with people he was supposed to see as targets. He learned loyalty, learned sacrifice, learned that some things matter more than contracts and money. He discovered that being created as a tool does not mean you have to remain one. 47's evolution is what makes his story so powerful. He started as Subject 47, a number, a clone, property, but he became Agent 47, a legend, a professional, a person who chooses his own destiny. Every game in the Hitman franchise adds another layer to his character, shows us new sides of who he is, what he values, what he values, what he values, what he's willing to fight for, and that makes him one of gaming's greatest protagonists. Not because he is a hero, he is not, he is a killer, but because he is real, flawed, complex, struggling to find meaning in a world that tried to deny him humanity. The Hitman franchise has given us incredible gameplay, amazing level design, creative assassination methods, but more than that, it has given us a character study, an exploration of what it means to be human. 47 may have been created in a lab, but his humanity was earned through experience, through choices, through relationships. And that is a powerful message, that we are not defined by our origins. We are defined by what we do with the life we are given, by the choices we make, by the people we choose to protect. 47 embodies that message perfectly. Now I want to hear from you. What is your favorite moment in Hitman history? Which mission stands out to you? Which target elimination was the most creative? Drop your answers in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Agent 47's complete story, make sure you hit that like button. It helps the channel grow and lets me know you want more content like this. Subscribe to Loreforge if you have not already. We dive deep into gaming's greatest stories, uncover secrets, explore lore, and bring you the most comprehensive breakdowns on the internet. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. We have more incredible stories coming, more deep dives, more gaming lore that will blow your mind. Share this video with fellow Hitman fans, with anyone who loves great storytelling in games, with people who appreciate complex characters and rich narratives. Spread the word about Agent 47's incredible journey. If you want to support the channel even more, check out our Patreon. You get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and your name in the credits. Every bit of support helps us create better content. What game should we cover next? What story do you want us to explore? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one, and your suggestions shape what we create. Remember, Agent 47 is more than just a video game character. He represents something deeper, the struggle for identity, the search for purpose, the fight to be more than what others designed you to be. His story reminds us that we all have the power to choose, to evolve, to become something greater than our circumstances. Whether you are created in a lab or born naturally, we all face that choice. Who will we become? What will we stand for? What legacy will we leave? 47 chose to be the best at what he does, to own his nature, to find purpose in his skills. And in doing so, he became a legend. Not just in the world of Hitman, but in gaming history, a character who will be remembered, discussed, analyzed for years to come. Thank you for watching this complete story breakdown. Thank you for spending the last 2 hours with us, exploring every detail of 47's journey. Your time means everything. This is Loreforge, where we unlock the stories behind your favorite games, where we dive deeper than anyone else, where we treat gaming narratives with the respect they deserve. Until next time, remember this: the best assassins always leave no trace, but the best stories leave a mark that never fades. Agent 47's story has left its mark, and now you know it all. Every secret, every betrayal, every choice. From the asylum in Romania to the tower in Dubai, from Subject 47 to the legend himself. Stay curious, stay gaming, and always remember, we are not defined by how we begin. We are defined by how we choose to continue. That is the true lesson of Agent 47. See you in the next deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, keep discovering, keep loving the incredible stories that games have to offer. This has been the complete story of Hitman. And what a story it has been.